I'll have you know that there are some better games than Pokemon. Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of Have You Know, 30-something episode of me. Back again. Last week was PS5 launch. This week I'm going to be talking about the best alternatives to Pokemon in my opinion. Now there's only a couple on this list, but they are games you definitely need to check out if you're into Pokemon. And I'd argue that they're better than Pokemon. Now, I didn't play Pokemon, I've talked about this loads, really properly between Blue and Let's Go / Shield. Okay, it was a very, very long time. I played a bit of Silver and God, I mean I don't even remember one or two of the others. But yeah, I never really played them afterwards. But I always loved Blue, and like I said, I always go back and I play it every couple of years. Like last year, I did Let's Go and captured all the Pokemon, got a certificate. I kind of felt like I was done. And then Shield was really, really good in its own way. But I did sell it, and I didn't want to play a DLC because it wasn't that good. Now there are some games. Now there are some games, in my opinion. Now there are some games. Now there are some games which are better than Pokemon. And if you like monster capture games, there are a ton out there. And I've got to a point where I love JRPGs much more than I ever used to a few years ago. And I really only love them if they involve monster capture system. But they, for some reason, adding this layer of being able to train these monsters and have them fight for you and then having an overarching storyline really works for me. I don't know if it goes back to nostalgia of like looking after Pokemon and Tamagotchis, or if it's just the added layer, or sometimes just a joy, because these games, they seem to hit the right point in between difficult and enjoyable / easy. Like they are challenging, and you will find that you will lose battles. Oh god. They are challenging, you will find that you lose battles, but they aren't so difficult that you're struggling and rage quitting the game. You'll just go back and try the boss or research online what their weakness is or whatever. So anyway, without much further ado, here are my games that I think are better than Pokemon, or the best alternatives to Pokemon. Number one is Digimon Cyber Sleuth. I've spoken about Digimon Cyber Sleuth before. I haven't played the sequel yet, so I'm going to recommend both at the same time without having played the sequel. From what I understand, the sequel is very similar, which is why I haven't yet played it. And the number one was like an 80-hour game, so I need to get through my others before I get to 2. Anyway, Digimon Cyber Sleuth is amazing. It kind of reminded me of how good Digimon was. After being such a big Pokemon fanboy for years, I was a bit Digimon fan. I loved all the monster capture stuff when I was a kid. And Transformers and obviously all that stuff, Power Rangers. I am 31, so that gives you an idea of when I grew up. But Digimon was always really cool, and actually, if you think back to it, Digimon was a bit darker, and just it just had different elements. I think it kind of, if it wasn't for Pokemon, Digimon would have been the big deal, and I know for a lot of people it is. And Digimon Cyber Sleuth really captures that. And I am aware there's Digimon Survive, which is like a turn-based sort of, what are they called? Oh my god, I've gone blank. Those games where you have the square maps and you have you can move so many spaces and then you can attack. But that's not really my thing. Anyway, Cyber Sleuth is a classic turn-based system which will introduce new mechanics in terms of the actual fighting, which I really enjoyed. There was not a new system, but it's like, you have a timeline, you can speed it up, it shows you when you can slot in. I mean, we've had that for a very long time, but remember when I was playing it, it felt fresh and new and different. Alongside that, you've got this storyline where you're becoming a sleuth, a kind of like detective, finding out what's happened. From memory, it was something to do with your dad. Now, I know this is a really loose explanation, but at least the story's going to be fresh to you when you play it. And then you've got this farm where you raise a Digimon, and obviously as you progress, the farm gets bigger and you can train a Digimon. Now what's awesome is the digivolving and devolving and all that, because you have to really play with it to get the best out of your Digimon, and you can devolve them, or whatever it's called. De-evolve? meh. Set them back to reset them basically, and then re-evolve them, digivolve them again, to get you better results. Now, you know, it was really cool because it was a combination of nostalgia from when I was younger from watching the series, and then this kind of, you know, this obviously just want to nurture digital animals, which I don't know where it's come from, maybe some sort of thing to do with our past and childhood. So yeah, anyway, Digimon Cyber Sleuth is a game I can't recommend enough. You know, it's the only game where I took a sick day to just play it and complete it because was really close to the end and I just wanted to session it. So that happened. Digimon Cyber Sleuth is my first recommendation. My second recommendation is Ni no Kuni, The Wrath of the White Witch, which I'm currently playing on Switch. I got it when it was on offer £6, and maybe it's still on offer. I would highly recommend you go and buy it if it is, and even if it's not, it's still an amazing game. Wrath of the White Witch is a bit different, and it's very different in the way that it takes 10 hours, or ish, 8 to 10 hours I would say, of gameplay before you actually get to the monster capture part of the game. Now it's been written and animated by Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, I'm never sure about that. Anyway. So obviously you've got this amazing story, you know, from the people that did bloody Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro and all those amazing animated films that we love. So you've got this build-up story. You're this kid. His mum dies at the very beginning of the game, so because of that, you end up getting involved in this story where you go into this kind of alternate world, which is kind of like a fairyland, and you have to go into this other world. And if you know, the idea is if you do something in this other world, you might be able to bring your mum back. But meanwhile, this other magic world, just to recall it, is being attacked by a big bad guy, obviously, or as always. So you start the game and you get given a familiar, and you're just fighting, and the combat is not turn-based. It's like Star Ocean games. It's more like that, where you're running around and you have to avoid the attacks, but you choose whether to attack. On a little menu you can choose whether to attack or use magic or defend or whatever. And it's really different. It takes some getting used to, and I would say sometimes on the Switch pad it's not completely comfortable. Actually, I need to try that on the 8-bit do, which I'll talk about in a minute. And so you're fighting in a little arena, and then attacking and having to defend. And eventually you meet more people, and you get to unlock capturing familiars, so you can capture them and evolve them, or whatever it's called in this one. Give them little gems to transform them, transmute, something like that. And yeah, it's just really awesome. Like, it looks amazing. It's the Switch game I played on the big screen the most because of how it looks. And I just really love it, to be honest with you. I think it's an absolutely fantastic game. And I am so glad that I've got around to playing it. And I am glad I'm playing it on Switch because I can put loads of hours into it whilst, you know, watching TV, or I can go to bed and play it and kind of grind away. And yeah, I'm really not bored of it. So Ni no Kuni is another game I really, really recommend. Then lastly on the list of games I've actually been playing or played is Persona 5, and I'm going to recommend a couple of others on other people's recommendations. A recommendation of a recommendation. Persona 5. I'm playing Persona 5 the Standard Edition. I know Royal Edition's amazing, but that's just what I have. And it's amazing. I'm about 45 hours in, and I love it. I love it so much. And I avoided it because the 100 hours scared me. You know, it's about 100 hours to complete the game, but I'm at 45 hours and it doesn't feel like that. It's just so, I've never played a Persona game before, so if you have, you're probably not going to be blown away by the mechanics of it. But I love the fact that you've got the metaverse, which is, you know, the other world. You've always got another world, haven't you? Or quite often. Same with Digimon, by the way. There's a digital world you go into. Digimon, digital monsters. Yeah, right. So in Persona 5, you've got the metaverse where you go in and you fight. And in Persona, you capture demons, and then to transform or evolve or whatever it's called in this, you know, in whatever you want to call it, digivolve, to transmute the demons, you have to fuse them together by sacrificing them. And it's just basically Persona 5 is just a very mature Pokemon. Now I have coined that term, so thanks, Luke. What's really different about Persona 5 is the fact that you don't train necessarily by fighting. Now, yes, obviously you get experience by fighting enemies and that helps you, but the main kind of crux of the storyline and game is in the real world, and it's managing your school life and your relationships with people to benefit your demons, because everything's linked by your heart. So most characters you meet in the game who you have to talk to multiple times will give you it's hard. It'll give you a type. You know, in these games, monsters have types. So in Pokemon, it's like fire, electric, blah blah blah. In Persona, it's deeper. So it's like love, you know, I don't know, death. I'm trying to think of one I got last night. Judgment, stuff like that. So in this, every character you meet will link to a persona of that choice. Now, if there's someone who's on your team, growing your relationship with them will give you benefits in battle, as well as giving you more experience when using or fusing demons of that type. If they aren't in your battle party, you'll have other benefits, you know, which, you know, there's stuff like getting an extra turn in battle, or when you capture a demon, instead of capturing it, I haven't talked about capturing at all, actually, have I? I'll talk about that for all games in a minute. It gives you an extra chance to catch them. So, you know, it's really clever. I mean, really, really clever. I've not played anything like it. And then also, you have this star in the real world, which measures your knowledge and your charisma and stuff. And there's lots of tasks you can't do until you've increased your charisma or whatever. So last night, for example, there's this girl, you need to go and speak to her. You know, obviously going to be something important for the story, but I couldn't speak to her because my charm wasn't high enough. There's a guy who right at the beginning of the game, he got me in a bit of trouble, and I wanted to confront him about it, but I can't until my guts are more. So I've been training all these different things and trying to be smart about it, but you have to be clever, because you have to manage what you're spending your time on in the real world. So you have to decide, do I want to go, you know, deepen my bond with this character, or do I want to go in and increase my guts or my knowledge or whatever? And it's a real time management kind of game, which you don't expect at the beginning. I'm just fully in love with it. It's incredible, and you know, a lot of people have said it, and it's very true. It's a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best JRPGs ever made. I'm very much looking forward to trying the other Persona games afterwards. I'm going to quickly talk about how you capture monsters in these games, because I don't actually remember the Digimon saying that, so maybe not. Anyway, Ni no Kuni, you charm them and sing a song to them. And in Persona, you have to talk to them, but you have to choose the right dialogue option. So again, it's quite different. You know, there's not a Pokeball. You have to convince them to become your persona. So there are two others which I haven't really played. Xenoblade Chronicles, which Luke has reviewed and played. So go and check that out. Apparently it's amazing, and it's the next one on my list. And yeah, Astral Chain, which, you know, is made by Platinum Games, who are like the kings of JRPG combat. So both of those are other games you can go check out. So anyway, my point is, don't spend all your time on Pokemon. There are better alternatives. And I'll have you know that Persona 5 is my favourite. Anyway, thanks for watching as always, guys. I'll see you very soon, and enjoy your PS5s.